from my daughter's home in Twin Falls, Idaho. So hopefully we can have a great week. Welcome again. This is our Tuesday webinar series from the Universal Peace Federation. And my name's Alan Jessen. I'm your host today. Today's program is sponsored by the International Association for Peace and Economic Development, IAED, which is one of the 8 associations under the UPF umbrella. IAED was launched at the 2020 World Summit in Korea. And I'd like to share a few words about our mission that you can also find on our website, us.upf.org, UPF website for United States, and our association is listed there. And which, by the way, we have the archives to all of our presentations over the last 3 years. But guided by the vision of the founders, and the founders are, of course, the Dr. Sun Myung Moon and his wife, Dr. Hak Jahan Moon. But their guidance was that we are one family under God, and the attendees at the conference signed an inaugural resolution that read in part, we affirm our belief that business leaders have the opportunity and responsibility to work in collaboration with other sectors of society to make the world a better place, addressing its most significant challenges and promoting world peace, long-term mutual prosperity, and truly sustainable development. Our vision is a world where freedom and peace, unity, and happiness will flourish as economic development aligns with a spiritual and ethical purpose. And one of the sectors we identified in the economy that would be critical for making an impact is the entrepreneurial sector, particularly young entrepreneurs who are seeking to drive change for the betterment of humankind. It's our hope to highlight and support these leaders through building a collaborative culture and connecting with our global networks. So today we're really excited to offer you one peek into this entrepreneurial area. And the title of our talk is Empowering African Youth, Building Skills for Tomorrow. And we're privileged to have with us today the co-founders of the Kevin Winter Foundation, Fortune Winter and Pamela Stein, which I see really this as an example of social entrepreneurism as well as private entrepreneurism. But they will outline their collaborative efforts working with partner organizations that have been pivotal in amplifying their impact across Africa, shedding light on the strength gained through unity and shared goal of nurturing young minds. Moreover, they will discuss their current initiatives that provide practical skills training programs. These initiatives are designed not only to educate, but to empower the youth of Africa, equipping them with the tools necessary for both personal growth and community development. So if you'd welcome on the screen, Fortune Winter, and I will introduce Fortune for everyone. As I mentioned, he's a co-founder of the Kevin Winter Foundation, and his story began in Africa, then moving to the USA at age 12, which deeply influences his work today. He spent time in the United States Air Force as a telecommunications technician, ending as a disabled veteran, which taught him the value of resilience and adaptability. Fortune has 3 associate degrees and a BA in business administration and entrepreneurship from Southern Illinois University. He's been serving as the director of IT data for the Universal Peace Federation Africa region since 2018, where he developed a keen understanding of technology's role in education. And the Kevin Winter Foundation was established in 2020 and reflects, according to Fortune here, a collective effort more than an individual effort. Its main endeavor, Project Rise, embodies an holistic approach to youth development, encompassing skills training, internships, and entrepreneurial guidance. Collaborating with esteemed organizations like the Family Federation, World Peace and Unification, the Universal Peace Federation, Youth and Students for Peace in Africa, and of course the Kevin Winter Foundation. They focus on skills and character building education. Fortune, we're so excited you could join us. The floor is yours to share with us your great work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan. It's a pleasure to be here to see everyone and to have this opportunity to share about this very important topic. If you allow me, I'll share my screen and begin my presentation. All right, I hope everybody can see that clearly. Wonderful.
Yes.
As I was very cordially introduced, my name is Fortune Winter, the president of the Kevin Winter Foundation. I named this organization after my late father, who's pictured here in the middle of the screen. This is a very meaningful picture to me because it was taken in Chad, where my father was originally missionary in Africa, 1975 missionary sent to Africa. And it's also the very last picture he took in the mission in Chad after a event he educated the youth there. And so it's a very meaningful picture to me and wraps up his 40-year mission there in Africa. Just a little fun facts about my father. He joined the Unification Church in 1969 at 15 years old. As I said, he was a 40-year missionary in Africa between 1975 and 2015 when he passed. He signed up to be a missionary at 21 years old. He had 3 children, 5 grandchildren. He loved history. You can see a picture down there with him as he was a journalist in Chad with some rebel forces he took some pictures of with. And he also loved puns. He was a linguist. He loved educating the youth and teaching divine principle. But most of all, he was a man of heart. The agenda for today's presentation is going to be the introduction of KWF, our partners and activities, and going into Project Rise, as well as a call to action for everyone here. And if you stay till the end, you'll be able to hear a short testimony of mine of what led me to want to go to Africa in 2018, to be able to work for UPF Africa alongside Dr. Catherine Rigney, as well as all of the leaders there, supporting the different activities, having the opportunity to meet your mother in 2019, working all the different events that took place, meeting different heads of states, VIPs, and specifically being able to work alongside the youth to train them, to learn from them, and to learn about the need for KWF. Excuse me. These are just a brief rundown of all the different events that I've worked since 2018. The top 7 were the major events that took place before KWF started, which really gave us the understanding for the need of an organization such as KWF and a program such as Project Rise. The following programs, the 22 different events that took place afterwards, each of which had specifically KWF was able to support the training of youth and using those events as an opportunity to give the youth training and internship and skills learning. Forgive me if I go a little bit fast. I'm going to try to make through this PowerPoint without missing too much. KWF is a 501c3 nonprofit. It's registered in Maryland, USA in 2020, and our headquarters is here in St. Louis, Missouri, where I'm currently at. Our vision is to continue the lifetime legacy of Kevin Winter with our mission to support the education and training of youth in Africa. Basic accomplishments, we've raised over $1 million in the past 4 years. With our partners, we've been able to provide leadership training and support for over 200 youth, IT equipment for over 50 young people, infrastructure development for youth training in Nigeria and Zambia, yearly support for an orphanage of 60 children in Cameroon, as well as ongoing IT training and support throughout Africa. Our board of directors and executives are myself, my mother, Evelyn Winter, recently my wife, Young Soon Winter, is vice president, Mrs. Barbara Harrington is secretary treasurer, Kiwan Zinzu from Benin as the operations officer, and Pascal Belancourt from Benin as well as the project manager. We have a core team of second generation youth throughout Africa, from South Africa, Myoga Molisho, from Senegal, Sheun Diop. From Burkina Faso, Pangil Diarra. From Rwanda, we have Kyung. From Nigeria, we have Godwin, and as well as Nigeria, we have Khalid. Core team of advisors, we have Dr. Catherine Rigney as the Chilling One co-chair and UPF co-chair for Africa region, Reverend Bakri Kamara as the Chilling One co-chair for Africa, Mrs. Pamela Stein, our co-founder, and my brother Stefan Winter, who also helped co-found and run Project Rise in the beginning. Our core partners that I'm going to discuss today is the International Association of Youth and Students for Peace, UPF Africa, Universal Peace Federation, who's the host of this platform today, and then also as well as African Youth Development Association. The activities that we've worked with AYDA is in Cameroon. The founders are Jacob and Annette Kamga Fotsa, and they've sponsored yearly, or we have sponsored yearly, their program towards Foundation Fact, which is an orphanage in Uganda of 63 orphans, providing school uniforms, books, food supplies. As well as Nigeria, specifically, we've recently supported a 8-day peace character education program, which helped to train 20 teachers from specific schools picked out by the Board of Education in Nigeria in teaching the teachers in character education so that they can then go on to their schools and teach character education in their schools. This is a pilot program in the capital of Nigeria, in Abuja, which is a pilot for ongoing, or the hope that they can grow throughout all of Nigeria. Additionally, we supported the installation of solar panels at that center there in Nigeria, which made a world of a difference. With IAYSP Africa, two of the main programs that we've recently been able to support is the Hyojong Rang and the Chanoguk Citizens Academy. I'll go through each of those. The Hyojong Rang program is a leadership training program designed for the young people of Africa. This is a very advanced leadership training program, similar to the UPA program or inspired by the UPA program. This program was actually inspired by True Mother, and it's a very successful, and we're very grateful to be able to support this program. IAYSP has their hands full. They have over 13,000 youth in Africa, and a lot to accomplish in being able to prepare the environment for the youth to be trained, for them to be able to receive character education and go on to accomplish great things. The Chanoguk Citizen, I'm going to try to be brief about this one because it's in development still, but it's a recent program being developed. It's a one-year program for the youth after graduating high school before entering university. And its target is the age group of 18 to 24. Out of that previous slide I shared, there's 3,079 youth in that category. So this program is going to be hopefully implemented by next year, and being able to nurture the youth, to give them the opportunity to understand themselves as a Chanoguk citizen. And it's a pipeline for creating future leadership in our movement. Project Rise is Kevin Winter's program that Kevin Winter Foundation program I'm about to go into. And it's specifically going to be implemented in the skills development portion and the social impact portion of this program. So now I'm going to go into Rise, a brief overview. Some statistics that we found in 2021 when we launched this program is that Africa, being a population of 1.5 billion people, or near to, 60% of that population is under the age of 25. The UN estimates by 2040 that half of the global youth will be living in Africa, and 12 million youth each year leave school and enter the job market. But only 10% of all higher education students go on to find a decent job out of all those students. This is another interesting point. There's a fourth industrial revolution taking place. Companies are digitizing, but the pool of skills do not match what is needed in industries and in commerce. So there's a digital divide, according to the World Economic Forum in 2019, is a word that they coined. Varying degrees of access to computers and ultimately online resources spurred by the uneven growth of the internet across countries and socioeconomic classes. Ultimately, the internet users do not possess the skills necessary to take advantage of the opportunity provided. So Africa has a youth unemployment crisis. 60% of the youth are unemployed. 90% of the graduates that do go to school graduate without the opportunity to receive some, they get menial tasks, menial jobs instead of high-level school or education, high-level, what's the word? Job opportunities. And so the students who are lacking digital skills are left behind, is what we're coming to understand from the research that we did. So how does Project Rise help the students to compete in the global marketplace? Our mission is to raise African youth to become value-driven professionals and future leaders by offering skills and resources needed to overcome personal and economic challenges. We are aiming to train them to become a value-driven professional. The Project Rise program is a 3-phase program, starting with education in the first phase, opportunities through virtual internship in the second phase, and then entrepreneurism in the third. The first phase is a 10-week program that we developed offering digital skills, marketing, graphic design, video editing, data management, leadership, blockchain technology, and real-world projects. Keeping in mind, we designed this program understanding the research that we did with the digital divide and the lack of potential for real skills due to this mismatch in the job market. The second phase is a virtual internship program where we connect our youth, the students that go through Project Rise, with organizations that have the different job market opportunities for those students, for those specific skills, and give them the opportunity to harness the skills that they learned through Project Rise. And then the third phase is a entrepreneurship and job placement phase. We're connecting the graduates to different opportunities. If they're looking to just get connected in the job in the open marketplace, or if they're looking to harness their entrepreneurship abilities and through microloans and investing, creating a business hub or incubator for them to be able to develop entrepreneurship programs or business ideas. We did a pilot program in 2021 to test out this theory of the research that we did and all the different 3 phases. The first class was 15 students in November 2021. YSP provided these students, and we were able to get several in the data management, graphic design, social media marketing, and video editing program. We also had guest speakers. We had coaches, second-gen coaches from around the US that offered their skills by creating a course. I forgot to put one of the students or the coaches in here, Yoshie Monica, but she created a social media marketing course. Yoshinori here from Hawaii created a mindset coaching course that we offered to the students, which we also found was very beneficial to offer these coaching courses. The final grades, we had 7 that graduated, a little less than we wanted, but we were a little bit stringent, let me say. The course is very demanding, required at least 4 hours a day, and but 7 graduated with a grade of C or higher. And we gave them certificates for the different programs, coaching program, as well as the skills learning programs. And then here was a little celebration on our final day with the youth. Next, phase 2, we tested out a 30-day internship with UPF Africa. So all the graduates from phase 1 of the program went through, and through all of those different events that I was sharing with you, they pulled together their skills of data management, video editing, graphic design, social media management, and we tested out how we can raise our growth of our social media platforms before these events took place to help them to advertise for the events, to get viewers and attendees to come and watch the events. And we noticed that the students created 108 different edited videos. They posted 30 different posts on social medias, 120 different graphic arts, and they gained 250 new followers over the 2-week period right before the event took place. So since the pilot, we have been running ongoing interpretation courses, a program that was developed by one of our second gen in Ghana. She's a professional interpreter. She has her own business, and she developed an interpretation course that helps prepare the youth that are bilingual. Since Africa being, we have to think about it as it's a huge continent, minimum three different languages, English, French, and Portuguese. And so preparing for events, having VVIPs come on and having to understand the information that's being shared, we really need clear interpretation. And so this we felt was an important place to start with really developing interpretation or interpreters, youth that can go through the program and be able to support the different providential organizations as well as go on to launch their own career and jobs. The second opportunity is the internship program. For the past over a year or so, we've been having the graduates of the program interning and eventually some of them even working with UPF Africa and KWF, I might add, as well. Helping with different things such as data campaigns, UPF brand kits, social media strategy, hosting webinars and online celebrations and milestones. The third phase follow-up has been a series of online podcasts called Rise and Start Biz Talks, which has helped to bring in youth entrepreneurs throughout Africa to discuss about their entrepreneurship path and their struggles and how we can help them to overcome, and ultimately connect that up to the heart of our movement, to the need to address our characters as well as the external, to include the internal. And so this entrepreneurship is still in development, but this is a start down that path with the podcast. We've also distributed a lot of IT equipment, computers, cell phones, different IT devices throughout Africa over the past several years, thanks to the support of our donors. Our call to action today is to go to kevinwinterfoundation.com, and you'll see different ways you can support us there through whether it's monetary donations. You can purchase different items on our Rise store, Rise branded items that will then also go towards supporting our activities. For those who have skills or coaching programs that you would like to offer to our Rise University is a program that we put on, a learning management system that we're offering to the students through Project Rise, as well as opening it up for the public if we would be able to find a way to get some income through that to support our social activities. And so if you know someone, if you yourself have some certain skill that you want to offer, a coaching program, a skills program, or to even potentially develop something that would be useful to include in our Rise University platform, this is a huge ask on our part that we'd like to request. Also, for those organizations that are looking for interns, since phase 2 of this whole program, the 3-phase program is an internship program, we're looking for partners that will be interested in hiring interns after the students go through the second phase, or once they develop that skill in the first phase, be able to then practice it through this internship. And there's still a lot of details to work out on this end, but we're really looking forward to creating partnerships with organizations that are interested in doing such. We've also created an e-news you can sign up for on our website. And as far as contacting us on the website, you can go to the Contact Us button there, and there's a way you can fill out a form and be able to, whether you're interested in just supporting, communicating, being a partner of some sort, give us the platform to do that. And thanks for sticking around to the end of this presentation. Now I can share my testimony. This is a very special testimony. It was in 2010. I was reading a book about a medium with my father. And in the book, the medium had a tell that he set up with his mother so that when she passed, it can confirm that he's an actual medium. He's not just crazy. And so I spoke to my father and I said, we should have a tell like that. And he said, okay. And he thought about it for a split second. And he said, when I pass, if you're not living a good life, I'm going to haunt you. And so I was like, okay. Fast forward, he ended up passing in 2015. 3 years later, I was having a really hard time adjusting to his passing and dealing with the grief, and wasn't living life the way I should. And at the time, I was bartending, and one of my coworkers came up to me after work and said, in tears, she was completely in tears, and said that she'd been afraid to come up and talk to me about something because she's worried that I'll think she's crazy. But for the past month, she's spiritually open, not just for the past month, but she's spiritually open. And for the past month, my father has been haunting her and would not leave her alone until she could ask me something. And she said, he wants to know, are you living a good life? And so thank you so much for joining for this presentation.
My. That's icing on top of the testimony there, Fortune. No, thank you. That was very well organized for us to follow, even in a few minutes there. I think with your three phases. I love the data part. You've been did a lot of research, and you're measuring the progress you're making. You want to comment about that? It sounds something that you've put a lot of effort into as you're building and scaling.
Yes, that research it's something we did in 2021 based off of information from the Global Economic Forum that took place in 2019. It's constantly evolving, obviously, but it's just proving, it's proving our point. The types of organizations, companies, Microsoft, Google, all these big companies are investing heavily in Africa, China, and everything is heavily invested in the tech sector for the most part, especially as of lately, artificial intelligence and blockchain technology. So these are very in-demand skills. We have, as you saw, 90% of the youth that go to school and actually study something, when they go out into the workplace, they can't get a real job that can support their living, can support their families. And so it's very sad to hear those facts. And I really hope that Project Rise can be able to address those issues, starting out within our movement, expanding outward. But ultimately, those are the facts of the situation in Africa with the unemployment situation.
Mm. One last question, then we'll switch to Pam. If I understood, there was a slide there that said internet users are not able to find the training online or to be able to develop their skills, something like that. Was there's just a lack of guidance? Did I get that right?
There's definitely a lack of guidance. I think the slide was a little bit misleading in that sense. It was an older slide, but could have been reworded. There is definitely the lack of devices, a lack of connectivity. That's something that's being addressed and growing in Africa. But there's also so much information. You go online, you're just bombarded with information. Where do you start? How do you, guide yourself through the learning process to know even what's out there and what's in demand? And so there are a few. There's the young people of Africa are bright. Don't get me wrong. They can. I can throw a stone in Nigeria and I hit someone that says they're a graphic designer. It seems like. So they go out there, they educate themselves, but they do need guidance. They really do need guidance. And I think creating a program like Project Rise, where we're not just going to offer them the skills learning, but also incorporate character education, guide them the right way on what to pay attention to, how to overcome their situations, and really develop, I think is very empowering, as the presentation says.
Okay, great. Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite up Pam Stein, one of the co-founders. and share some thoughts. Let me introduce Pam to our audience. So, and you can bring her on the screen as well there. There you go. So from a young age, Pam aspired to become a missionary and joined the Unification Movement in 1969. In 1975, she went to Africa to the nation of Congo and remained active in service until 1982. Her first activity, as you might guess, as a missionary, was to create a public secretarial business and typing skills for girls. As the church mission grew, Pam taught fundraising and business skills to the many young members who joined. She carried the dream of the next generation in Africa, attaining enough education and leadership training that would enable them to become influential future leaders for the providence of God in Africa. This dream has never waned in 40 plus years for Pam. 2020, she co-founded with the Kevin Winter Foundation with Fortune Winter to make this vision a reality throughout Africa. In the last 4 years, she has acquired donor support for KWF, raising over $1 million. Currently, Pam lives in Maryland with her husband and their second son's family and is affectionately called Grammy, not Granny, but Grammy.
That's right.
By their 12 grandchildren. She is a graduate of UCLA's creative writing program, holds a certification in creative nonfiction, and she enjoys coaching memoir writing groups and writes short stories about, you can guess it, Africa. Thank you, Pam. Enjoy it. Floor is yours.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. Hello. Oh, Fortune, thank you for that wonderful review of all of our investment the past few years. I really enjoyed it. You failed to mention the miracles that happened, which means that God was excited about this foundation and really helped us a lot. And there's many moving stories. I want to say about Kevin, what moves me a lot about how God worked with Kevin is he became a missionary to Chad when he was 21 years old and could not stay in the country, as many of us could not. I couldn't stay in Congo originally and had to go back to across the river to the other Congo. And so he ended up in Nigeria, and we were so young, and where do we go in that continent? Language, food, resources, everything. And we had nothing. And her father was counting on us. And so Kevin met Dr. Kathy Rigney. And of course, she was, our sister Kathy in Nigeria. And he wrote to headquarters and asked if he could stay in Nigeria and work with Kathy. And they worked together for over 40 years. And when you think of Kevin, you remember him meeting presidents of nations of Africa beside Kathy. And when I think of Kevin, I think of his undying love, unconditional love for true parents and the will of God, and his passion for the next generation. And he is a young person at heart, I have to say. And he laughs a lot, and he made us laugh a lot. And he's working very much with his son, Fortune. So I think what I want to add here is about how God works in Africa, which is often through phenomena and miracles, because the physicality of working God's will in Africa never goes quite right. Just like many countries don't have roads, you have to get somewhere and you have to figure it out. And that was how it is in Africa. And so we ended up, depending on the phenomena, which is common life in Africa. and therefore people would show up at the last minute with everything needed to accomplish God's will. This happens over and over and over. And I think because Fortune was born in Africa and grew up in that environment, and I survived it for all those years, we had a very natural, enjoyable relationship as an elder and a younger. And when Kathy came back from South Africa after an incredible year in 2018 with True Mother, I got in my car and drove to St. Louis to stay with her for a few weeks. And we were talking about what needs to be done and True Mother's upcoming tours and everything. And this is how it happens. I got a phone call from a brother who was an elder brother, joined around I did. And he said, Pam, I want to give money to Africa for Kathy's activities. And I said, oh, great. I handed over. And he gave, I have to say, he gave $100,000, just like that. And I didn't ask him. And, he was so inspired. And this happened 3 times in 2019. And I never asked anybody, but I have always spoken from my heart about the youth in Africa, the next generation, and why they need to have the opportunities that are so taken for granted in the Western countries. And God is moving the hearts of people all around the world that are excited about Africa and want to be part of it. So our early donors, we're very grateful to them in 2019, who were inspired by their conscience, or they heard something, or they had a dream, or they talked to me, and they just wanted to give right away. And they gave generously. Also, in the end of 2019, Fortune and I had talked about the Kevin Winter Foundation possibility, but it was at the end of 2019 that I took initiative and found a nonprofit lawyer from Uganda who lived in Washington and initiated the paperwork. But I had no idea what I was doing. And I want to thank Ted Agris, who assisted us from the New Hope Academy. And so through the cooperation of the New Hope Academy in Maryland, they were able to receive our donations because people did want to give and start the activity to help the next generation. Ted, our Kevin Winter Foundation became designated in March 31st. And 2 weeks later, Ted passed away from a heart attack, just like that, just gone. And I was stunned. But I want to say, without his help representing us and helping us work with the IRS, I wouldn't have known what to do. So we owe a lot to Ted Agris and to our early donors. Now, Fortune failed to mention that all through 2019, he trained at least 70 or 80 second gen to train them in IT and how to run conferences. And in 2020, when a lot of African VIPs, including presidents of nations, went to meet True Mother at the World Summit, Fortune had trained all these African second gen who took care of the VIPs with registration, hospitality, live stream to Africa, all kinds of things. And True Mother was so excited about this and so moved by meeting them. So this is very beautiful because those young people are still involved with providential activities in Africa. So what inspired the early donors to all by themselves say, how can I help? What can I do? I want to be part of this. And I have to say, I do believe it was the elder son consciousness. They all mentioned it as an elder son nation. What can I do? How can I help? And this is before Dr. Young was promoting, reminding us of who we are in 2021 and created the track for us to get to other nations. You know, each region is supporting another nation that needs support. And so when I heard Dr. Young talking about elder son responsibility, taking care of others, this is the mission of America. This is why God created America. This is the motto, the legacy of Christianity. And this is absolutely what we need to be doing. And when we do this, God blesses. So our portion is very modest, and God's portion is enormous. And so if we give modestly, somebody gives enormously. There's always somebody who's going to, you know, try to top the top donors. So therefore, we're looking forward to inviting new donors to join us. In 2024, we're hoping to create a number of important online programs like Rise University, which Fortune's brother Stephen was, he's a very brilliant marketing and visionary. And Rise University will be sharing more about that in another time, I hope, where the young people will have access online to university courses, to master classes, and can progress their studies and development as fast as they want. Why I came to work with Kevin Winter Foundation, it was a kind of a coalescing moment for Fortune and I. In 1982, at the end of my time in Africa, our members were invited to go to the blessing. I was in DR Congo at the time, and it was still called Zaire back then. And my children were being cared for in America, and I went back to Africa to help solidify the financial foundation for the members. And during that time, before I left, I said to God, please let us create education and leadership program for this generation. Please let me open my home to bring our African young people to give them education in America, in Washington, D.C., and teach them how to become good citizens and go back home and take care of their nations. This was my vision, and I wrote this to headquarters. And at that time, there were no resources for this, but I never forgot it. I never forgot it. And I talked about it. Anyone that knows me well knows I'm full of Africa stories and about the youth and what they need and how can we sponsor them and what can we do. And that's why when Fortune and I spoke together, it was like a 5-minute conversation. Let's do it. Let's do this. Let's make it happen. God wants this, and True Mother needs this. And it's amazing how at the beginning of COVID, we were designated and able to begin this work. And I'm very proud of Fortune and his, I'm just so always amazed by him. So
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, Pam, thank you.
Okay.
God bless for your, it's interesting about, you mentioned some miracles and the spirituality behind making something like this come together. I know Fortune had mentioned too, meeting people in Africa. And Fortune, maybe you can share a little bit because you mentioned to me earlier about how you've met people, potential partner organizations, and important support for expanding your work over there.
Yeah, thank you very much. There's so many people, very good-hearted people. God is working all over, and Africa is filled with that. Really good-hearted people wanting to support. I met an organization called Direct Ed. I mean, several. That's just one to mention, but doing boot camps, teaching computer science boot camps in Africa, Ethiopia, and Kenya. And um, I'm thinking of ways to, instead of, I don't want to recreate the wheel and start something from the ground up, to find people who are doing these kinds of things, creating these kinds of programs. There are others that have tech hubs, teaching skills training there. Ultimately, my goal is to focus on the character education portion of it and infuse that into the skills training, and connect people up to true parents.
Mhm.
So, but there is so many programs that so many different organizations out there I'm speaking with that are also doing these kinds of philanthropic work and very successfully helping.
Good. There's a question here about youth finding jobs after they graduate from your program. Can you explain a bit more about that? One question Barbara has here is how do they repay student loans?
Hmm. So that would depend on the microloans with Project Rise, I'm guessing. We haven't explored that yet. That's just something on the agenda. As far as there are many microloan programs out there already, Kiva being one of them, where people develop different businesses and get loans to help support that starting process. We're exploring some that also include blockchain technology, blockchain being very transparent, mutable platform for doing those kinds of things and up and coming. So there's still a lot to unpack there. I don't necessarily want to talk too much about it right now because I think it's very in depth, but yeah, it's something we're exploring.
Okay. If you have any other questions, please put them in the chat. You also mentioned to me, Fortune, just to let everyone know, I think part of your vision is creating some for-profit businesses that would work alongside KWF. So that's another big challenge, but I think that seems to be pretty consistent with developing the youth and giving them opportunities to be, to help support the whole foundation and pass it on to others. Maybe you want to just touch on that and see about the feasibility and anything that would be of interest to our audience about that.
Yeah, we're exploring several options right now. A marketing business that was started called Foundation Creative, that's still being developed. We've explored a aquaponics project as well as a potential opportunity. And there are many people coming up saying, I have skills, I want to contribute. I have businesses, I want to help with their different expertise. I think that's what I'm ultimately looking to accomplish from this meeting here today, is to have that bridge, to have that connection, open this up to connect all these types of partnerships, all these types of people that are really wanting to connect and support ultimately the work in Africa and helping the youth there. So I don't have too much to say about the details of it right now, but yeah, definitely there are things in the work.
But you're developing the talent that could be obviously, and your core team is you developed a dozen or so core team that are working with you and managing other projects.
Yeah, we have about 12 in the core team. I just listed a few of those because I didn't want this presentation to be too long. We do have from all over Africa, and they're really well trained, very good-hearted youth that are supporting in major way the activities in Africa and the different providential opportunities there. Yeah. I do want to say, just while I had the opportunity, I hope people don't think this is just coming from me, like I'm this mastermind coming to help, in Africa. I was educated very properly thanks to the support of my family, the support of, Dr. Catherine Rigney has been a huge uh, advisor and to me, and as well as just in general, the first generation throughout 2018, 2019, all those events that I worked in Africa, I learned so much. Good-hearted people that have the passion to change this world. And so this has been my inspiration. My father is just the symbol representing all of you. But it's the Kevin Winter Foundation, but it's all of you.
Yeah. A little question here from Gary Fleischman about, how Reverend Moon encouraged a lot of creation of agricultural projects we saw in South America and other places, in Zambia. So do you foresee Kevin Winter being involved in any of that? Is there any, in addition to their digital divide, but maybe they work together?
I think that's something to explore for sure. Our focus for the pilot program was digital skills. Just that's the in demand right now, very high in demand. But agriculture, you can't avoid. You can't ignore that with, Africa, the growing population the way it is, that needs to be fed, and creating systems that can do that, and businesses.
Okay, thank you. I see Dr. Jenkins is with us today, and if I could invite him onto the screen here, maybe I think he'd like to say a few words, and I know he's appreciative of your work. Dr. Jenkins, hello.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Alan and Roger, for this wonderful program, and especially Pamela. So good to see you. And Fortune, this is really a wonderful thing to share with us. And we would like to understand how UPF in North America, as well as around the world, could do more. The hope that Mother has shared for Africa is very significant, and having the youngest demographic of 70% of the sub-Saharan young people are under 30. It's an unbelievable situation where many societies are aging and don't have the youth pool to really draw on. So how can UPF in North America, because you know America very well, how could we help you? What could we do to contribute? Of course, we can support financially and other things, but can you share with us what would you envision the UPF ambassadors for peace, or some of the different members of UPF who are Family Federation members? What could we do to help you? And we first, I want to say how much we respect your wife also. She was the ACLC chief administrator for years, and so happy for you with your blessing.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. Thank you for
my wife and I
coming.
Are thrilled
yes.
to see you today.
Well, I also have to thank you for the blessing, because you did also play the matchmaking role there. And
well, my wife and your mother, really.
Yeah.
I cheered it on with Kathy.
Yeah.
Please.
To address your question, I think, this is something that's I'm so passionate about the role of UPF in society and the world. Here's a platform where you have, and ultimately this is True Mother's vision, I believe, connecting all the different sectors of society in the different subgroups that make up society. And, you have all these 7 different associations and how they can work together, collaborate, build partnerships, and that even includes in business. And so UPF USA, if they collaborate with UPF Africa, connecting with the different organizational leaders, the association leaders, and there's a lot of progress that's been made as far as dialoguing and setting up webinars and things already. I'm talking more in the sense of real projects coming forward from the different ambassadors for peace, people who are part of the UPF organization in that sense, who have that, for instance, the passion to do some kind of agricultural project in Nigeria or something like that. So where KWF fits in there is we just want to be there where the youth are involved. We want to be able to supplement and help out and focus on that, be the focus. And YSP is already there for that. And so that's why we're perfectly a match made in heaven together, working with that. Mika is incredible. She's doing some amazing things in Africa.
Well, I'd like to ask, Alan and also Roger's help. We should bring this out to all the UPF North America and have some other programs too, maybe focused on some of the associations, because there's so many opportunities, but especially these young people ready to serve and they want to learn and grow. And it's so encouraging, but they need to be able to graduate and have some employment or some development. I think, but this Rise University is so important. I was on a program, not a program, we were on a meeting yesterday with one of the earliest founders of Liberty University, along with Dr. Jerry Falwell. We were meeting him on a program about the Washington Times and some outreach we're doing for our values, our shared values for family, faith, and freedom. And that person, Dr. Dawkins, was the first that Dr. Falwell called. And your program today just reminded me of what he was saying. He was the first person called to Lynchburg. There were no buildings. There was nothing there except a vision. And the vision was Liberty Baptist College. And that's how it started. A few other volunteers. Nobody had any money. Dr. Falwell didn't have money at that time. I had a small church, strong church, but not that big. And I just got that feeling again today, like, Rise will be a major university. I'm very sure, with your integrity and your, sincerity and your sacrifice, dedication, and on the foundation of your father and mother and your father's great legacy. This is really great. This is really great. But I really felt about that. Wow. It started from, just a couple people and a Baptist college, which was almost like not even believed that it could go anywhere by the public and the society. But, I think that this is really a great thing. And I'll help from my role with UPF to try to bring it to our whole international community too, as well as North America. I'm so happy with this. Thanks, Pam. Thanks for all you've done for America and for Africa. We've always cherished your testimony. So thank you. I want to congratulate you, Winter. I think this will be we'll have a webinar in a few years, and you'll be sitting in one of the hub of academia in Africa with jobs blossoming. I mean, I think it's going to happen. Once the
Dr. Jenkins, you've hit on the spirit of entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
Things start from with nothing, and with the passion and the vision and the stick-to-itiveness and all the commitment, everything. So we're highlighting entrepreneurship here today, and so
and
grateful
the quality of your curriculum and the strictness and the care.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very, very significant, very strong foundation. I believe we learned a lot today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Say
Jenkins.
hi to Young soon for us.
I will. Thank you.
I was looking for her in the list here and I couldn't find her. I wanted to see her. Yeah.
I'll let her know.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks.
Pam, do you have anything else you'd like to say as a final wrap up? If we have a minute or two, and then to our audience, after we stop the recording, we can certainly leave it open for a few live conversations if there's interest. Yeah, Pam, do you want to?
I do have one more comment. I wanted to mention, I forgot. When I went to my first country was a communist Congo, and I got out of there alive. And Father said, no, I really did get out of there alive. I was absolutely on death's door and did not die. I was amazed. And Father wanted us to witness to the president of the nation. And of course, that was impossible. But the Minister of Defense, who interrogated me, because it was a communist country, no American embassy. What was I doing there? After 6 months, I wasn't going anywhere. And he eventually became He didn't hurt me. He deported me with the words, "Mademoiselle Pamela, I wish you could stay here. You are a good woman." And I was able to testify to the Minister of Defense during my almost dying moments about true parents. And he changed just like that. And he totally changed. And that's how I got out of there alive. And not that he would kill me, but the situation was so dire. And I went back to Belvedere and I was very sick. I still had malaria. And Father eventually, when I got better, sent me to across the river, across the Congo River to Kinshasa, Zaire, which was a democratic country. And we had nothing. And like you said, out of creating something out of nothing is where miracles happen. And I knew one skill. I had one skill. I am not a college graduate. And my one skill was typing. That's it. So I went to the local IBM shop with Gregory, my missionary partner, rented the one one typewriter they had, and opened up I just put a desk in a tiny little kiosk inside of a photocopy shop and sat there with my IBM Selectric 2, which had language fonts. And I had like 5 of them in different languages. I couldn't speak French, nothing. And I just sat there at the desk, and the businessmen would come in and take photocopies. And they'd look at this white lady sitting there with a typewriter and wonder, and they said, "What's she doing?" And I was introduced as a public secretary. So they started bringing in their business letters, and it became instant success. Even though I couldn't speak the language, I could type anything, right? If I saw it on the paper, I could type it. And next thing I knew, I had another desk and another typewriter, and I brought in my first student. And this grew, it became so popular because I was training the daughters of Kinshasa. And the businessmen were so excited, and they wanted those girls to type their letters. So we had a plan, it was like a teamwork. And eventually, long story short, over 200 girls graduated over time. A lot of them were placed in professional, like the embassies or Peace Corps, local businesses. And that's an example of how you can do anything in Africa and it eventually will become successful. Absolutely. Because the people make good things happen when they have opportunity. That's what I would say.
It's a good way to end for sure. You did something that has blossomed in a way you didn't know. Fortune, thank you very much. And Pam, I'm going to ask the